2 hours. That's all the time Jason Mitchell had between discovering the truth and walking down the aisle. 2 hours to process the most devastating betrayal of his life. 2 hours to decide whether to expose the woman he loved in front of 200 guests or walk away in silence. What he chose to do at that altar left everyone speechless. This is his story. Before we dive deeper into Jason's impossible decision, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Jason Mitchell was 36, a financial advisor in Portland with a comfortable, stable life. He met Sarah Jennings at a friend's engagement party 3 years earlier. She was 32, a dental hygienist with a warmth that drew people in. Their first conversation lasted 3 hours under string lights, and Jason knew she was special. They dated for a year before he proposed at the same patio where they first met. She said yes immediately, crying and laughing. The engagement lasted 2 years while they saved for the perfect wedding. They moved in together, adopted a dog named Charlie, and built what seemed like a solid foundation for marriage. Sarah wanted 3 children. Jason wanted 2. They agreed on neighborhoods, vacation plans, and even future baby names. Everything felt certain. Jason's best friend, Trevor, lived in Boston, but stayed close through calls and visits. He'd met Sarah several times, and always told Jason how lucky he was. Trevor couldn't make the wedding due to work, which disappointed Jason, but he understood. The night before the wedding, Jason stayed at a hotel with his groomsmen, while Sarah went to her parents' house. They texted goodnight, said they loved each other and couldn't wait for tomorrow. Jason fell asleep feeling grateful and ready. Jason woke to his phone buzzing repeatedly. 17 missed calls from an unknown number and 3 voicemails. He played the first message. "Hi, I don't know if I should be calling you, but my name is Amanda, Trevor's girlfriend. Well, ex-girlfriend. We broke up last night because I found out he's been cheating on me. With your fiancé, I have proof. Please call me back." The second voicemail was more urgent. "I know this sounds crazy, but Trevor and Sarah have been seeing each other for at least 6 months. I have text messages, photos. Please, you deserve to know." Jason's hands shook. He called Amanda immediately. For 20 minutes, she explained everything. She'd borrowed Trevor's laptop the night before and found explicit messages between him and Sarah. She'd confronted Trevor, and he admitted it all. He'd been sleeping with Sarah throughout the engagement, meeting her during Portland visits, even flying her to Boston twice when Jason thought she was at work conferences. Amanda sent screenshots, dozens of them. Messages where Sarah called Trevor baby and talked about her guilt, but inability to stop. Photos of them together, intimate and unmistakable. Jason felt sick. His cousin David knocked, noticed something was catastrophically wrong, and Jason showed him everything. David let out a string of profanities. "What are you going to do?" David asked. 200 guests were heading to the venue. How do you cancel a wedding 2 hours before it starts? But how do you marry someone who's been cheating with your best friend? Jason called his father and told him everything. After a long silence, his father said, "Son, this is your choice. But a marriage built on lies will never survive. Better to face the truth now." Jason knew he couldn't marry Sarah, but how should he handle it? He could call her, cancel privately, maintain dignity. But another part of him wanted everyone to know what she'd done. He tried calling Trevor, straight to voicemail. Trevor was hiding. Sarah called, her voice bright. "Good morning, future husband. I can't wait to see you at the altar. I love you so much." Jason's throat tightened. "I'll see you soon," he said quietly and hung up. He made his decision. He would go to the wedding and tell the truth in front of everyone, not just for revenge, but because he needed them to understand why this wedding couldn't happen. This wasn't cold feet. This was about betrayal and choosing self-respect. David helped him get dressed and drove him to the venue. Jason's mother sensed something was wrong. He told her briefly, and she hugged him tightly. "Do what you need to do. We're with you." The ceremony began on time. Sarah appeared at the end of the aisle in her white dress, smiling radiantly, completely unaware. Jason stood at the altar, his groomsmen beside him, all quietly informed by David. Sarah reached the altar and squeezed Jason's hand, tears of joy in her eyes. Jason looked at her, searching for guilt. He found none. The officiant began. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." When he asked if anyone knew why this couple should not be married, Jason raised his hand. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sarah's smile faltered. Jason turned to face the guests. "I need to say something. About 2 hours ago, I learned that Sarah has been unfaithful to me throughout our engagement. I know about Trevor. I know you've been seeing him for at least 6 months. I have the messages, the photos, everything." The color drained from Sarah's face. Her mother stood, demanding to know what was happening. Jason continued. "Trevor's girlfriend found out last night and contacted me this morning. She sent me proof of what's been going on while I was planning our future." Sarah grabbed his arm. "Jason, please, can we talk privately?" "Not here." "Why not here?" Jason's voice hardened. "You had no problem lying to me here, in front of all these people. You were ready to make vows you had no intention of keeping." He turned to the officiant. "I'm sorry to everyone who came expecting a wedding, but I can't marry someone who's been cheating on me with my best friend." He looked at Sarah one last time. "I loved you. I would have done anything for you. But you chose someone else while wearing my ring. That's not love. That's betrayal." Jason walked down the aisle alone, head held high despite the pain. His family followed, and the venue erupted into chaos behind them. Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching from, and click subscribe so you never miss our upcoming videos. Jason made it to the parking lot before his legs gave out. He sat on the curb and finally broke down. His father sat beside him in silence. Guests filtered out, some offering support, others hurrying to their cars. Jason's phone rang constantly, friends calling for details. He turned it off. David arranged for Jason to stay at his parents' house. He couldn't face the apartment he shared with Sarah. That evening, Sarah sent a long text apologizing profusely, claiming it started as a mistake, begging for another chance. Jason read it once and deleted it. There was nothing she could say that would change 6 months of lies. The story spread rapidly. Someone had recorded Jason's speech, and soon the entire city knew. Jason received overwhelming support, though a few criticized him for handling it so publicly. Most understood why he did it. Trevor never contacted him. Not a call, text, or email. That silence hurt almost as much as the betrayal. Jason learned Trevor had blocked his number, deleted social media, and was moving cities, running away. Sarah tried several times to reach Jason, showing up at his parents' house twice. His father firmly told her to leave. She sent flowers, emails with apologies. Jason didn't respond. His lawyer handled the practical matters, canceling the lease, dividing possessions, and recovering wedding costs. 3 weeks later, Jason returned to work. Colleagues were supportive but awkward. The work helped, giving him structure and purpose. Nights were harder. Jason replayed everything, looking for clues he'd missed. His sister convinced him to see a therapist. Dr. Patricia Chen helped him process his anger and grief, explaining that betrayal was a form of trauma that rewired the brain's ability to trust. In therapy, Jason learned his desire to expose Sarah publicly wasn't just revenge. It was about reclaiming his narrative. Dr. Chen helped him see that true healing wouldn't come from Sarah's humiliation, but from rebuilding his own self-worth. 2 months after the wedding, Jason moved into his own apartment with Charlie. He bought new furniture, created a space entirely his own. Friends invited him out, and he went sometimes, forcing himself to socialize while also honoring his need for solitude. He started running. Miles accumulated, and with them, a gradual sense that maybe he would survive after all. 4 months later, Jason heard Sarah had moved to Seattle and was seeing someone new. He felt a complex mix of hurt, relief, and pity for her new partner. Trevor had relocated to California and also entered a new relationship. As months passed, Jason noticed shifts. The sharp pain dulled to an occasional ache. He could think about Sarah without rage. He started enjoying things again, genuinely laughing, looking forward to plans, feeling real happiness instead of pretending. The healing wasn't linear. Some days he felt strong, others, a memory would trigger the loss all over again. Dr. Chen reminded him that this was normal, that grief moves in waves. If you're still watching at this point, type "still here" in the comments. Let's see who's really following Jason's journey all the way through. 8 months later, Jason went on his first date since Sarah. Michelle was a colleague's friend, and they met for coffee. Jason was nervous, worried his trust issues would sabotage any connection. But Michelle was easy to talk to, never pushing for information he wasn't ready to share. They continued dating slowly. Jason was cautious, hyper-aware of red flags. Michelle noticed his guardedness but didn't take it personally. "I know you've been hurt," she said gently. "I'm not asking you to trust me completely right away. Just give this a chance." Jason appreciated her directness. They built something different, more honest, more open, more willing to address concerns directly. A year after the wedding that never happened, Jason felt like a different person. More cautious, yes, but also more self-aware, clearer about his values, more willing to trust his instincts. He'd learned that love alone isn't enough. You also need honesty, respect, and shared values. He'd learned that public exposure doesn't actually heal wounds. Real healing happens privately, through therapy, self-reflection, and time. Most importantly, he'd learned he was stronger than he thought. When everything fell apart, he'd feared he'd be broken forever. But he wasn't. He got up every day, did the work, and gradually built a new life. His relationship with Michelle deepened. She met his family. He met hers. They talked carefully about future possibilities, both optimistic. Jason thought less about Sarah and Trevor, their betrayal fading from defining his life to being just a chapter in his past. He reconnected with old friends, traveled, earned promotion, and adopted a second dog named Max. His life was full again, different than planned, but genuinely good. Sometimes people asked if he regretted exposing Sarah at the altar. His answer varied. Sometimes, yes, wishing he'd taken the high road. Other times, no, believing speaking the truth publicly had been necessary. The honest answer was probably somewhere in between, a decision made in extreme pain that he'd made peace with. Quick question for you. If you were in Jason's shoes, would you have exposed the truth publicly or handled it privately? Drop public or private in the comments. I'm really curious what you'd choose. 2 years after that devastating morning, Jason was engaged again, this time to Michelle, who'd stood by him through his healing, who'd earned his trust through consistent actions, who'd proven not everyone would betray him. He proposed during a weekend at the coast, privately, just the two of them. A simple question, and a heartfelt yes. Planning this wedding felt completely different. No anxiety, no underlying fear, no voice whispering something was wrong. just excitement and certainty. The wedding was small, held in his parents' backyard under lights. Jason watched Michelle walk toward him and felt nothing but joy. No last-minute revelations, no betrayals, just two people ready to build a life together, based on honesty and mutual respect. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, Jason caught himself holding his breath for just a second, an echo of old trauma. But the moment passed, and the ceremony continued smoothly. The reception was filled with laughter and genuine celebration. No drama, just happiness. Jason's father pulled him aside. "I'm proud of you, son. What happened with Sarah would have destroyed some men. But you faced it, healed, and found something better. That takes real strength." As the night wound down, Jason and Michelle stood under the stars. "Are you happy?" she asked softly. "Happier than I ever thought I'd be again," Jason answered truthfully. He thought briefly about Sarah, wondering where she was, if she ever thought about him. But the thoughts were fleeting, lacking emotional charge. She was his past. Michelle was his present and future. That was what mattered. Jason's story reminds us that betrayal doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be the beginning of a new chapter where you're wiser, stronger, and clearer about what you deserve. The pain is real. Healing takes time. But on the other side is the possibility of something better, built on truth rather than lies. What Jason did at that altar was controversial. Some praised his courage, others criticized his approach. But the most important part isn't how he handled that one moment. It's how he handled every moment after. The therapy, the hard work of rebuilding trust, the willingness to remain open to love. If you've experienced betrayal, know you're not alone. Healing is possible. Happiness can return, and you can trust again. It takes time, effort, and support, but it can happen. Jason is proof. We want to hear from you. Have you experienced something similar? How did you handle it? Would you have done what Jason did? Share in the comments. Your experience might help someone struggling right now. If you're dealing with heartbreak or betrayal, please seek support. Talk to friends, family, and consider therapy. You deserve honesty, loyalty, and love without lies. Don't settle for less. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Subscribe for more real stories about relationships, trust, and healing. And before you go, tell us, what's the most important lesson you took from Jason's story? Drop it in the comments below. Remember, better days are always possible, even when the present feels impossibly dark.